There are certain topics which are regarded as the one true opinion, and increasingly as I get older, I feel like there should be no one true opinion on any topic, even if they're expressing an opinion I agree with. And the big one in college was everybody was basically had to beaten into them. Citizen Kane is the greatest movie ever made, and I was like, yes. Like, I got a raging boner with a capital O for Citizen Kane. All my heroes, from William Friedkin to Martin Scorsese to whomever, they all look up to this movie, they all revere it. So it was very easy for me to start drinking the Kool-Aid. But what I noticed was that rather than beating people over the head with my opinion, if I wanted to bring people into the conversation, the best way to do so was I would host these Citizen Kane screenings because everybody was studying it for class. And I would serve scotch, people would rip bong hits. We would have like a little party and we would watch Citizen Kane. It was more like a show. We weren't watching a piece of art that was not allowed to be criticized. We were just having a great time with a great piece of entertainment. And I feel like that's far more persuasive and far more inviting than just saying either you like it or shut up about it. Embrace the one true opinion or you're cast out of like the inner circle. So when it comes to one true opinions that you might push back on, do you have any, are there any kind of sacred cows out there that you're ready to slaughter?
The musical is trash. The movie musical is utter garbage. Everyone who enjoys movie musicals is wrong with a capital R. They're terrible, they're doing it incorrect, they don't understand what they're looking at, and they're lying about everything they've ever believed in their entire life. And I'll explain in this 10,000 part answer to you. There is this orthodoxy in movies where, say what you will about the 70s generation, say what you talk about Bogdanovich, lionizing the guy from the 20s and 30s. Everyone's got these great periods of time where they think, oh, maybe this is the best part of it. That doesn't mean something new that doesn't come out afterwards. However, I think something that overarches all of this is people's love of the movie musical. Now, granted, that's a broad term. The movie musical could mean anything from the Gold Diggers.
10 years ago, Hugh Jackman, the musical is back, which he declared at the Oscars.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
But I mean, the Gold Diggers of 1937, you know what I'm saying?
33 is a really good one.
33, okay, well, I did. But it's like you can put a flag everywhere along the line.
Yeah, that's got Remember My Forgotten Man, and I will die on the hill defending number 30,
you're going to die on that hill.
33.
But I mean, there's so many other musicals, and again, they have existed, they've gone up and down, there's been a sine curve of whether they've been good or not, but they've been consistent. It has never gone away as a piece of art.
I am 99% with you in the total rejection, but every once in a while I will see one like Bob Fosse's All That Jazz, which knocks me down, and I'm just in awe of the experience.
Yeah, I stick a splinter in my brain, and I tell myself that's not a movie musical. I tell myself that's Bob Fosse's fever dream, an ode to his penis, and I say that somehow gets that down, and I love that movie. That movie's great. I've seen it a bunch of times. The fact that we are stuck with this paradoxical culture where what is old is instantly jettisoned, which I'm not hanging on that shit. You don't need to keep liking the same garbage that I like. I made a whole waste of life out of Cobra Commander. I don't expect anybody else to like it. That's strictly for me. That's my corner of nothing. That's nonsense I want to live inside of. That's perfect. However, it seems like musicals get a pass to behave the exact same way they did in like 1931. And that orthodoxy, that hidebound orthodoxy, has barely changed. And you know what, man? Fuck Lin-Manuel Miranda, because his stuff is exactly, I think it's the form of it. It's rap the musical. Hey, I'm going to sit here and tell you what it's like to come from St. Kitts. And it's like his rap is so slowed down and anodyne for audiences to come out of fucking Ohio.
What are the most atrocious musicals that have invited this venom, this bile, this hate? Because I've got plenty. I mean, just to get into some childhood trauma, kindergarten, I was in The Sound of Music. I went to an all-boys school, and they were putting on The Sound of Music. So it meant a lot of boys were going to have to play girls, and I had to be a little girl in it, and I had to have, like, red dots on my cheeks and wear a dress and the whole deal.
You were 37 when this happened?
But when you're at an all-guys school and you're wearing a dress and all the girls are saying, oh, but you look so pretty, it can be ruinous to your confidence. And consequently, I did not see The Sound of Music, the film, until Nick Nadell invited me on his podcast to talk about, I can't remember the title, maybe it's just the movies that we'd never seen, but I'd never seen The Sound of Music, which is one of my mom's all-time favorite musicals. So I've got some deep-rooted hate and disdain, but what are the musicals that just have traumatized
you? Broke the seal on that. Yeah, Sound of Music. Mary Poppins. All these things that are part of the canon.
Is it the cheerfulness of Julie Andrews? Because even blanking on the co-star in Sound of Music. He said working with
Plummer,
Julie Andrews,
Plummer.
Christopher Plummer, was like every day waking up when you're hungover to like the world's most like animated greeting card getting right in your face, and he was like he couldn't take the positivity. It was just too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back. Victor Fleming. I can't even. I like The Wizard of Oz. I just don't want them to sing the fucking songs in it.
Fair enough.
Here and I could tell you. You bring up the movie musical, I'll shit on it from a great height. I'll tell you exactly why I think it needs to be defenestrated and never talked about again. And it's like, and I mean, I'll hedge my bet by saying maybe there's one movie musical that I actually legit enjoy, and that's Phantom of the Paradise. And that's just because that movie is so fucking weird. But all these other, hoary, long of tooth things like West Side Story, I never need to see that again. I don't need Jerome Robbins. I don't need Sondheim. I don't need any of that horse shit.
I played
Get it out of here.
saxophone, alto sax in the pit band for West Side Story back in high school. That was the most fun I ever had interacting with West Side Story. I don't really like the Robert Wise movie. A lot of people regard it as the best ever
Bob
made.
Wise, I love Bob Wise, incredible
but
director.
being a part of it reminds me of another one true opinion. When I was in high school, one of my English teachers, when we were reading The Tragedy of Julius Caesar, he said, "If you don't like Shakespeare, you're wrong." And he said it half kidding. But there are a lot of people who teach Shakespeare in a way which sends people running screaming for the hills, whereas what you really need to do is get the kids on a stage with the text, reading and interacting and performing, and they'll have a blast with it. Same thing with like Orson Welles. Don't beat people over the head in class saying, like them or you're out. You gotta invite people in, but with the musical, the way I would invite people in is with the stuff that's more dance-driven as opposed to song-driven, because usually the big breaking point is when somebody walks into a room and breaks into song, but if you showed them like the Nicholas Brothers in Stormy Weather, doing stunts that are superior to anything Jet Li or Jackie Chan ever did. I mean, Fred Astaire said the Nicholas Brothers, greatest dancers that he ever saw.
That's true, yeah.
The splits and the cartwheels and the athletics. It's some of the most jaw-dropping stuff ever captured on film. So even if you loathe the movie musical, watch the Nicholas Brothers. Watch Gene Kelly doing what he did.
This pedantry inside of a movie musical is that when the music starts, the story grinds to a halt. And the sound of like the Dear Evan Hansen type songs, which sound so parenthetical, where the movie stops, this guy says something inside of a void, it's a vacuum, and it doesn't carry. No one hears your thing. There's no dialogue going on unless it's fucking Aida, where the whole thing is sung. The movie musical just freezes like you have 15 minutes of story amongst 90 minutes of music.
Is Milos Forman's adaptation of Amadeus a musical?
No, not at all. No, not even for a single second. It's a movie that uses music.
But it has a lot of opera.
It's got a lot of opera, but those are performances. And that's Tom Hulse is going like this. Yeah, that movie is beautiful. I would definitely not consider it the performances are part of the story. Much like I could even get away with saying half of All That Jazz is the performance inside the thing, but the storytelling isn't done through music until there's like 2 or 3 pieces that actually are, like the last Roy Scheider piece where he's goodbye, all that stuff.
So if we could zero in on the 3 movie musicals that just cause you angst and hate and just get you going.
West Side Story, West Side Story, West Side Story. I'm heaping bullshit on it. It maybe doesn't deserve it, but in my head, that's that concentric ring of hell with both, what is it, Judas?
If there is a hell, it's Bill Scurry locked in a chair watching Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals. Yeah, watching Seven Brides, Seven Brothers on a loop.
Yeah, people, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, some garbage bullshit like that. Yeah, and having a little, what is it, a scoop of sugar helps the medicine go down. Whatever the Julie Andrews song is.
No, that's
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins,
yeah,
which I still have not yet seen because of my trauma from Sound of Music. I'm going to catch you in a trap of your own making.
There you go.
One of your first pitches to Wrong Reel was to come and tackle Mel Brooks. Is the original from 1968 producers a musical?
No, because the performance, the story,
it's
not
Springtime
storytelling.
for Hitler. It's got songs.
No.
It's got Dick Shawn doing the
LSD Flower. I love that song.
Yeah, it's got songs.
The songs are performance. They're not storytelling. And I think when you try to tell me that songs are going to act as text, fuck you and fuck all that. The only thing more scabrous is when people try to convince me that modern dance, where the dance acts as text, fuck that shit as well. I can't parse dance as text. I'm sure there's something there. I went to a friend was trying to set this thing up in Brooklyn. I was like, come see my modern dance thing. It's like, great, I sat down. Within 6 seconds, it's like, I hate you. I want to stab your eyes out.
Flamenco ballet. Some Spaniards might resist and push back because they have done flamenco dance interpretations of plays where the dance is part of the storytelling. So I've seen you going to war with a few of our friends and collaborators on the great David Lynch, where the one movie by him that you love is usually the one that a lot of other people have kind of casually disregarded. So what are the one true opinions on Mr. Lynch, where you might say the emperor has no clothes?
Talk about someone who's a pure visual stylist. He makes cinema the way cinema was probably meant to be made. You know, he is influenced by painting and visual arts. I think the problem is when I watch his movies, I have a very low bar to get me, Bill Scurry, the founder of Daily Cobra Commander, to get me on board, which is this. In any scene, do I generally know where the characters are psychologically? Do I understand what they want from one moment to the next? And no matter how surreal some filmmakers can get, no matter how abstract some filmmakers can get, people do a better job with personality, direction, and character about trying to say, this is what the character wants from moment to moment. If you watch Wild at Heart, you know, if you watch Lost Highway or you know, Mulholland, there are many moments where the weeds are high. You can't see out of the cornfield. You have no idea what the characters want. So I'm watching a burlesque of strange performances. I'm watching Robert Blake show up on the phone, and as he's talking, you hear the...
Call me.
Yeah, the voice comes through, and he's in front of you, so it's both these things at the same time. And the thing is, I was a lot more militant about this, I would say, about 15 years ago. So after I came out of Mulholland Drive, right, my friend Rich got me a seat in the theaters, and as we're walking out, I said, oh, this is great. We just saw Mulholland Drive. I have no idea what the fuck it was. I hope you're happy. They just befuddled me for the last 2 hours. But he spent the next 40 minutes annotating it for me. Like, he got it. He was saying that, you know, the back half of the movie was in conversation with the front half, and it's all this shit that flew right over my head. And I'm like, you know what? That makes so much more sense than what I just saw. And if I'm sitting inside without any breadcrumbs, I'm inside the Cretan maze. Is that what it was? Where the Minotaur was from Theseus. If I'm sitting, I can't. He strung himself through to get out of the Cretan maze again. It's like, if I don't know where I am, then it's like, how am I supposed to get through this movie if I don't know what the characters want? And it's so abstruse.
But it's why people are still talking about it 21 years later.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
David Lynch refuses to interpret his films, and when asked what Wild at Heart was about, he said, well, it's about 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is the best response ever given by a director.
Yeah.
Like, your job is to analyze the film, break it down, discuss it. I mean, yeah, like with the Coen brothers, when they were interviewed, they were joking about how critics so often ask them to do the critic's job for them by essentially articulating what they're going to write about. It's like, no, like, that's your job to wrestle with it, tear it down, build it up, whatever you're going to do. We've said all we're going to say with the film, for better or for worse. And Lynch just refuses to spoon feed us. I guess you could say Elephant Man is more accessible than others, which is probably why it did so well. Blue Velvet, less accessible, but I can still vividly recall being in college, and we took a bunch of mini-thins, and we were like just doing all these horrible things to our brains prior to watching it. We put it in on Laserdisc, and I was so excited. And we paused it at one point so I could go to the bathroom, and I came back, and they turned on the lights, and they'd taken it out. Like, man, this is really like bumming us out. We want to watch something else. Like, can we watch like Kingpin? And I was like, fuck all of you. We're putting it back on and we're finishing. This is going to be amazing. And we powered through, and some of them became David Lynch fans. So yeah, we were, flash forward a few years later, we're in the theater watching Mulholland Drive, and a particular scene that came along that appealed to red-blooded males, and we were high fives all around.
Yeah.
And
that's a good scene.
That's a good scene. And so yeah, I'm on Team David Lynch, but where I part ways with perhaps Marcus Penn is with Inland Empire, where I think the feelings you experienced during Mulholland Drive, that's how I feel with Inland Empire, which I just vomited right back out. Like, this is total bullshit. I guess we can toast to both propping up and destroying the one true opinion.
Let's establish an orthodoxy and rip it down at the same time. Also, let's toast to David Lynch's Dune, which ironically is the most accessible of all his movies, even ahead of The Elephant Man.
I fucking love Dune. And might be heresy, I prefer it to the Denis Villeneuve.
I do too, but that has nothing to do with the Denis Villeneuve movie. It's just because Dune occupies a place in my heart. I will hold on to it forever.